In the remote southeastern corner of Utah is an area with deep, winding canyons that are difficult to navigate and travel through. But these were home to an ancient people as far as 2,000 years ago, the ancestors of the Fremont, Hopi, Paiute, and other tribes who inhabited this area. I am out with a good friend exploring one of these remote canyons after having explored a short section of it back in 2018, when a friend and I stumbled across a large petroglyph panel that inspired me to research more about this area. Little is known about this canyon, but from what I've explored so far, it's rich with history of these ancient people, and I've been aching to get into the deeper reaches of this canyon to see what more I can find and learn for myself.
Well, what a beautiful day it is to be in the desert. I'm out with my good friend David to spend some time exploring one of my favorite places. Particularly, the goal of this trip is to spend some time in a canyon that I've had on my radar for a very long time. And the exploration of the canyon is really difficult. It's very remote and very bushwhacky. So I've explored some of the bottom sections of the canyon. I've explored some of the top sections of the canyon and seen some incredible pictograph and petroglyph panels that have just really got me intrigued on seeing what else is there and trying to understand more of the people that lived here thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, and just what that life was like. Why did they choose to spend their time here? What was life like for those people? Maybe we find something, maybe we don't. That's part of the fun and part of the adventure. This is the first time I've been in this area this early in the season, and to see the river covered in ice is a wild sight. Nice. So this is easily close to a dozen times that I've been in this particular canyon, and every time I've been down here, I've been pretty focused on just like being on the trail and getting the miles done and not doing as much like paying attention to what might be up on the walls. But there is a lot of history in this canyon. We're coming up around a bend where there's a really neat ruin that's up high that I find pretty interesting because it's on a canyon side. Oh man, we got ice and potential wade, but it's on a side of the canyon that you wouldn't think it is. So I'll show you that when we get up here in a second, but we got to problem solve getting across the river. It was an incredible amount of work to go about a quarter mile, but it's January. We don't want to get our feet wet if we don't have to. And this river corridor is just flooded with tamarisk and willows and Russian olive. And it's an insane amount of work working through some of these areas that you normally just cross the river or walk in the river and be totally fine. But we were also finally at this first ruin that was talking about. So I've never tried to go up and see it. I've never seen if there is an access to get up and get closer to it than what you see just at the river. So we're gonna walk up and see what the option is. So right up there, about the middle of the screen, you've got one structure, and then behind the tree to the left is another structure. We'll move a bit closer and try to get a better vantage, but that is really high. Like you've got a big cliff band or just a cliff edge. So how they access that and even build it, just fascinating. You can see the timbers on the right structure. I think you can see timbers on the left structure as well. How did they get up there? What kind of ladder system or What was it used for? In fact, there's actually 3 structures. Look at this. So you've got the far one on the right, you've got the one in the middle, and then around the other side to the left, the far left, is the 3rd structure. There's more like figures up in the cave. Oh, and there's some graffiti, or maybe it's cowboy glyphs up on the far right side above the right timbers. MISC. Now, the obvious question I ask myself with the location of that is, what made that special? Especially the access to it. Had to have had ladders built to be able to get up that really steep edge, but like, again, it's north facing, and that is just so different from what I am used to seeing from all the time I spent down in the desert, that especially in the cold months of the year, south facing alcoves and walls and such are the prime, because that's where the sun is going to hit. Very interesting. So we know we're on the right track, given that there's actually a cairn marking where this exit is, which is helpful to just make you feel a little better about your life choices. Woo! Well, I told you this was going to be a route of exploration, and part of that includes just seeing something new, seeing something different. And you know, I'm here to like explore and try to like find some history with like pictograph panels and such of the people that lived here, but also just like explore a really beautiful place. And my mind is kind of blown at the fact that climbing up onto this saddle, there is a trail. Now, I know that several people have done this. Guided trips have come through here, and other people that I know that I follow on YouTube have been on this basically exact route. But I didn't think that there would be kind of a well-trodden, not a word, just a well-traveled path. So that's pretty cool with my mind right now. Getting off trail like this and experiencing just little things like this, obviously that's big, but really makes you feel small and appreciate how magnificent this world is. Well, we've made it down into the canyon. That was some, there are thorny bushes and it's bushwhacky. Anyway, we made it down to the canyon, and now we're just trying to find the easiest way to our planned campsite. And then at that point, we may come like explore down the canyon a little bit or go up the canyon. It just depends. But this is the drainage that's supposed to have a pretty substantial amount of like structures, not like what you would see in some other places like small granaries and similar to what you saw at the beginning of this trip, but also just like art panels, pictograph, petroglyphs. But it's so unbelievably brushy, and it's a battle of getting feet wet again. So that's the goal. See what we can figure out here. Bushwhack paradise. It is just, it's so brushy. It's so thick. Well, I'm not gonna lie. That was incredibly discouraging and bleeding, legs totally ripped up. We had to cross the stream to avoid getting our feet wet right into a like heavy, thick, thorny bush patch. It's gonna make like wanting to go down canyon and explore. I don't know. Right now I'm not excited about it. What is interesting though is right where I stopped to talk to you, we got some cowboy trash. This old can. Okay, but we still gotta find camp and figure that out. How you doing? That was so gnarly. It's at times like these where I start to question, what am I doing? What do I plan these like off-trail routes and put myself through this type 2 fun? And so often it feels like at the end of the day you're just like still having to push yourself in a tough way. And tell you what, this canyon down here, this is just choked out, and it's a little frustrating. I'll show you. It's just gonna make wanting to go and explore pretty much impossible. Like, it's just, I don't see it happening without getting totally beat up and cuts and scrapes and ruining gear. I don't know. Not in a good headspace to think about that right now. You can just see there's just brush everywhere. It's so choked out. Just crazy. So we're climbing out. Hopefully we can find something up here a bit higher quickly, because we're both exhausted.
And running out of daylight.
So let's see what we can find. Well, I feel like it's necessary to kind of give a report of the day, because we went from super awesome, just incredible trail and exploring some really neat things, seeing those ruins earlier, like first thing in the morning, was just fantastic. And then as soon as we dropped into this canyon, it like instantly, snap of a finger, type 2 fun. My pants are all ripped up from those thorny bushes, and it was so thick, just so, man, I'm pretty discouraged about the whole like point of wanting to get out to do some exploration and to like see this canyon, because several years ago, my best friend Jared and I, we came down this canyon and stumbled across easily one of the most incredible petroglyph panels that I have ever seen. Just phenomenal. And it's big, really, really big. And it's one of those things that, like, when you're out and about and looking at stuff and just, I don't know, in the moment, and then all of a sudden, like,
boom, here's this thing that you did not know was there. There's like no information on it, but it's this like really impressive petroglyph panel, and it just like immerses you into the environment, into like what that experience is. And I'm a little like bummed that because the canyon is so choked out with brush and thorny bushes and just incredibly, incredibly hard travel. Like from the moment that we got into the canyon, would you say that was like 3 o'clock? It took us an hour and a half to go a quarter mile. Like, just, I don't know. So we'll see what tomorrow brings, but there is a very good chance that we completely bail on the idea of even going up canyon, going down canyon. It's insane. So running out of daylight, get some dinner going, enjoy the rest of the evening. This is a phenomenal view behind me, and looking forward to what this is, because sunrise is going to be pretty epic from my tent. So we'll see you in the morning.
Well, good morning to you. We got packs on, all packed up for the day, and we do have a game plan for today, which I am excited about after how discouraging yesterday was once we dropped into this canyon. There is a side canyon that comes in adjacent to this main canyon that should not be even nearly as brushy and no water in it, and could have the potential of seeing some art panels or artifacts or something. Like, we don't know. We're gonna track everything on the Apex 2. The cool thing about this is I can download a map on here, so I actually have the route, so I can follow that on my watch as opposed to having to pull my phone out every time. But then obviously also counting the distance and my calories burned and a whole bunch of other stuff, like tracked my sleep last night, which was nice. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna explore a bit today and just avoid the crazy brushy zone and try to see something cool. So obviously you're gonna come along with us. So let's do it. All around the ground in this area, and just in the Southwest in general, you have these like pieces of chert that look like they've been worked in terms of like tools or arrowheads. And what's funny is all the time that I've spent out in the desert, I've actually never found an arrowhead. But what you find in the ground as you're walking around and such are just all those like clearly, obviously pieces of rock that have been worked to create some kind of tool or an arrowhead. And it's I don't know, it's just really interesting. If you're not paying attention, you miss stuff like that. But like, you just have to remember, people lived here. This was their home, and they used the land all around them for hunting, for agriculture, depending on the era and the people. But there's history here, and it's really cool. So I was literally just saying to David, like, it'd be cool to just find like a pottery shard in the creek. But found an arrowhead. Dude, that's amazing. Wow.
Like to still have the fins on it.
That's incredible. So David was just doing a little bit more looking along. There's a bunch of just like, I don't know, rocks and sediment and stuff from it being bottom of a wash, but found a second arrowhead. We're not digging through the dirt. We're not doing anything to be disruptive or anything like that, and found that. So let's just put it back where it was found, and Leave it for somebody else to find. Okay, this was worth it just for that. Man, so neat. Just looking down in the wash, paying attention to see what kind of sticks out, and sure enough, there's another tip of an arrowhead. Had the back end broken off, but can't imagine that not being, with it being kind of uniform on both sides. Obviously coming to the point. Just amazing. Hard to know if this is actually anything of note, but you just notice the red. Maybe it's paint, maybe it's just a little bit richer iron in the rock. Hard to tell. There's an inscription from, is that DCA? Probably 1851. A lot of pioneer, like Mormon pioneer history as well down in this area. Well, that was an enjoyable side hike with the packs off. Went up about 1.5 miles and we found those 3 arrowheads and just a whole bunch of like chert in an area, just rock being worked essentially to create arrowheads, to create tools and that kind of stuff, and very cool. But we didn't find any kind of rock art, nothing on the walls, and that's fine. But it was fun to explore, and now we're headed down canyon with packs on. We had lunch, and now the goal is to see if there's anything on this bottom end of the canyon, which there's the potential for that, and then to get across the stream or the river and make our way back towards where we came from yesterday. So that's the plan of the hour for now. Really hoping we can get across without having to go through Thorn City, traffic jam of thorns and all that. So yeah, I don't see us getting down there. Goodness. Yep, now we play the game of finding a way out and down into the canyon without getting hurt, doing something stupid. Could be tricky, but that's part of this off-trail exploring, is you just navigate, look at the map and try to see what works best. So that's what we're doing. Well, we're going to aim for this area right here. Looking at the satellite imagery, looks like it's the most approachable way to get down, and then we'll figure out how to get out from there. Because then we'll make our way up and across this high ridge right here to get to our planned camp for the night. Steep, but we're getting ever closer to the bottom of the canyon. Oh, please don't cliff out. Oh, you're kidding me. No.
Okay, we looked at the map and I think we got a little shallow on our descent. Came in too tight. So we're gonna go up this rise next to us and hopefully it opens up and creates an option. Oh, spectacular. I think it goes. We are down into the canyon, which is so nice, but now it's finding our way up and out. Well, we're finally climbing up out of the canyon and we're able to explore a little bit down the canyon, which we would have done today. That was like kind of the goal. So I think we got to see more than we kind of bargained for because there really wasn't that much. Where did we go, a half mile? So about a mile from where we camped, and it would have been, I don't know, worth exploring, but would have been a bust from having found any like petroglyphs or our panels and such. So it's been a hard day of hiking, that's for sure. Right behind me is where we came in yesterday. So we're just a little bit below that and it's gonna work out, but longer day than I think we planned for. Well, that was easily one of the hardest days of hiking I've had of my like recent trips. I feel like I say often that was so hard, but like truthfully, that was a hard day of hiking. Off trail in a really rugged environment. There's no trails like maintained around this area in general. And we did 8.25 miles, about 2,500 feet of elevation gain, and a lot of sand walking. So I got a bit dehydrated, just wasn't ideal. But some really good highlights for today are obviously exploring some areas that I likely would never have ever gone to had things not gone the way that they did. In the sense that camping where we did, being on the side of the river that we were on, and then dropping into the canyon that it just is incredibly hard to get to. And to find those arrowheads, the first arrowhead that I've ever found in the desert, like ever in my life, that was amazing. And the one that David found, the white one that had like everything fully intact, that was incredible. Like, and it just gets you really thinking about like, what was the draw to this area? Why were people living here? Was it as harsh at the time as it can be now? Like, I imagine it was, but like, so much respect for the tenacity of what life would have been like and how hard it would have been, and the hunting, and it's just like really, really neat to think about. It's fun to come out on a trip like this as well and like come with that goal in mind of like trying to understand and find the history of the people here. And I mean, you could maybe say like, well, yeah, it was a little bit of a fail because things just didn't go quite as planned, but that's part of the adventure. That's part of exploring. So I'm really pleased, really happy with how this trip has gone. And so with that, sun's gone down, we're getting dinner going, gonna enjoy the evening, and we'll wrap up with you tomorrow. So thanks for coming out and hanging out with me, guys. Good morning to you. It sure is a beautiful morning at that. Not nearly as cold last night, and we're already packed up, ready to hit the trail. It's about 8:30 in the morning, and I just want to thank you guys for coming along on this exploration of adventure here in these desert canyons of southern Utah, and to see some pretty cool things. Maybe it was not as exciting from seeing a ton of artifacts and a ton of like petroglyphs and things, but that is exploration. That is part of the fun, and we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep coming down into these canyons and just try to find cool things. And the fact that, again, found an arrowhead for the first time ever. I'm calling that a win. But I want to thank you guys for just coming along, hanging out with me, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know if you like this style of adventure and kind of out exploring things and trying to find history of people and enjoying these canyons in a slightly different way. So I want to thank my friend David for coming along with as well and being great company and great support in doing a pretty aggressive, difficult route. And it was awesome. So he's over here. Thanks, dude. He's busy getting packed. But anyway, guys, we're going to hit the trail. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for being here. We'll see you.